Now on Coast TV News.
A chemical mishap at this Perdue plant in Georgetown.
The vapor cloud is straight up north towards Market Street.
An exclusive interview from a worker inside the plant. Her terrifying ordeal.
Me molesta cómo ellos actuaron.
Neighbors living near that plant say they were frightened. Meanwhile, Delaware's emergency response agency, DEMA, had issues of its own.
This is Coast TV News at 6.
A calm scene from the sky in Georgetown today. But last night it was scary and chaotic after a chemical mishap at the Perdue plant there. Good evening. I'm Madeline Overturf. Welcome to our News at 6. We begin tonight with extensive coverage of a Georgetown Perdue hazmat last night that even now is causing concerns, questions, and fear. We have many components of this story that you first saw on the Coast TV News app. Let's go through them. We're going to play for you a portion of a dispatch call. You'll hear what first responders faced. We will explain the chemicals involved that triggered a smoke plume feared to be toxic that shot out of the plant. We have new reaction from neighbors who were told to shelter in place. And we have responses from the state agencies involved in this hazmat and Perdue itself. But we begin tonight with an exclusive interview with a person who was in the plant the entire time. Coast TV News spoke exclusively today with the Perdue employee. She asked to remain anonymous, and in her words, this is what happened.
El olor no me llegó directamente a mí, pero sentí los cosquilleos.
The smell didn't reach me directly, but I felt a tingling in my eyes, nose, and throat. My coworker felt the same way. I started feeling these symptoms around 4 p.m., 4:20, 4:25, something like that. It lasted for about 20 minutes, during which my eyes burned. I knew something was happening, but we weren't informed at all. Absolutely nothing. We continued working on the line. The department was operating normally. When I passed by an area, I felt a strong smell, but it was inside the plant. At 5:30 p.m., we were about to leave. They told us no one could leave and no one could enter. They were only saying in English that we couldn't leave. No explanations were given. People didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do either, whether to stay in the cafeteria or in the meeting room, and no one knew what was happening. They never explained what happened. We found out from the same people who were talking. The supervisors were talking about what was going on, but no one knew until a text message was sent out to everyone in the area. I got upset about how they handled the situation. They were threatening people with losing their jobs if they left and things like that, so people didn't understand what was happening. I didn't understand it either, although I knew something was going on. Then people started talking about it, but they kept us there till 6:30 p.m., and no one could leave or enter. By 7 p.m., some of us left, but many stayed because they didn't know. They weren't informed. What they did wrong was that the people didn't know what to do, and there were many people who didn't speak English. They were just threatening people with losing their jobs without giving explanations. That upset me. Work continued normally. No one has said anything. They have never communicated with the employees. We only received the alert they sent to our phones.
And just into our newsroom, we asked Perdue to respond to that employee's claims. Perdue says it prioritized employee safety and was following fire department instructions, telling us, quote, there was a shelter-in-place order issued and no one would be allowed to walk down the sidewalk, and the road was blocked to through traffic. We do have translators in different areas of the plant, and all associates will be paid for their time at the facility while sheltering in place after their shift ended. Now, here's the exact location of that Perdue plant if you're not familiar. The Perdue chicken plant on Savannah Road in Georgetown is the northeast side of town. The two chemicals involved were peracetic acid and sodium hydroxide. Here's exactly what they are. Peracetic acid is likely what led to smells in that area in Georgetown. It can have a strong vinegar-like odor. Sodium hydroxide does not have an odor. Peracetic acid is used as sanitizer in handling meat. Sodium hydroxide is a corrosive chemical used in many soaps and cleaners. We learned more about first responders' actions by listening to Sussex County EMS dispatch calls as the vapor cloud was reported in the air over Market Street. Let's listen.
Hazmat incident at Perdue. Units responding to Perdue. The vapor cloud is straight up north towards Market Street. Be advised they had a 4,500 gallon tank that they mixed caustics with. There's a vapor cloud on down Market Street. Your winds are 16 miles per hour northwest.
We're starting to evacuate the area. Advising a truck was there making a delivery, made it to the wrong tank, and then was caught and the tank started gassing. Advising it can spread from anywhere to 350 feet in a general area.
Now let's break down the timeline of this for you. It happened around 4 p.m. People in Georgetown and beyond were told to shelter in place roughly 2 hours later after that mistaken chemical mixture. As the severity of the chemicals were evaluated, people were told to shelter in place to avoid possibly getting sick. That was downgraded to just neighbors, but again, that order was completely lifted around 9 p.m. In Georgetown today, people tell us they're confused and scared as a result of all of this. Coast TV News reporter and anchor Christina DeRobertis is live near the Perdue plant. Christina, neighbors say they could smell the chemicals in the air.
Yeah, and Maddie, that smell was coming from the Perdue plant right here in Georgetown, which you can see behind me. And although police and fire officials have given the all clear, neighbors we spoke with today say they're still shaken from the scare. From our coast copter, a scary scene on Savannah Road Wednesday night as first responders surround the Georgetown Perdue plant.
And we saw the police in every corner.
People within a half-mile radius of the facility asked to stay inside.
We live nearby.
Jennifer Rodriguez lives near the plant, and she says the uncertainty was terrifying at first.
We were told to be inside and not come out, so it was kind of scary. Because, especially for the workers inside, because we don't know what's going on in there.
But Rodriguez says her worries only grew, especially for her young children, when Perdue announced a chemical supplier mixed peracetic acid with a caustic chemical tank, creating a smoke plume that could cause dizziness, eye irritation, or nausea.
When we would open the door, you could kind of smell it. So it was because of me, because of my baby, it was really scary. And my other kid, they could probably smell it. And since it was saying that it could cause nausea.
For others without shelter, the situation felt even more dangerous.
It was me handling our dog last night in a tent, and we were so afraid of being exposed to this chemical.
Police say 4 plant workers were exposed and reported mild symptoms like itchy eyes, but none of them needed to go to the hospital. Now, Georgetown Mayor Bill West says there may be a lingering smell throughout the town for the next few days. Live in Georgetown, I'm Christina DeRobertis, Coast TV News.
Christina, thank you. We also spoke with Mayor West about the situation as a whole. When asked if there's a plan in place for people in the area to evacuate if necessary, Mayor West said no. But now he wants to change that.
I'm going to move forward from here after and make sure that we have a plan in place, to take care of this and get people out of there if we have to get people out of there. They were even keeping the people that work in the plant inside the plant.
Another problem last night, the shelter-in-place alert was broadcast all over the state. Now, that was an error. DEMA says it's responsible for maintaining and managing the state's emergency notifications, but it did not directly issue the incorrect message. DEMA says human error is to blame, but did not disclose who made the error. The shelter-in-place was just meant for those within a half-mile radius of the Perdue facility and, again, later downgraded to just neighbors. And new tonight, DEMA saying in a statement in part, quote, DEMA deeply regrets any confusion or misunderstanding this might have caused. DEMA went on to say going forward, they will work with its state and county agency partners to review all policies and procedures to ensure this error is not repeated. And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know if you received that hazmat public safety alert on your phone. Let's take a look at the updated results from the last news hour. Take a look at your screen now. You can see 86% say no. There was no alert sent to their phone. 14% said yes. Well, if you haven't voted yet, you can still do that at coasttv.com or the mobile app, and we'll show you updated results on Coast TV News at 11. And concerns were not only focused in Georgetown, but all over the county. We spoke with Samuel Warren in Lewis, who says he was worried about the wind pushing potential dangerous fumes to Lewis.
A lot of firms use chemicals in their business, but it's important to exercise extreme caution to not injure the people that work there along with the general public too. So that was my concern, to find out more information to make sure myself, my family would be kept very, very safe.
And to tell us about the winds last night, we have our meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono. Chris?
Hello there, Matt. Yeah, last night, around the time of that spill, we had a general northwest wind at about 15 to 25 miles an hour. And you could see in Georgetown, 21 miles an hour. So that cloud likely would have shifted to the southeast to places like Millsboro, Stockley, Dagsboro. May have smelled those fumes. But luckily, everyone is safe there, and the winds are still a factor today. We'll talk more about the winds and that snow threat as we roll into the weekend, coming up in my full 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Chris. Now, Coast TV spoke with DNREC, which is the lead agency in all this. DNREC says it tested pH levels and environmental conditions and says it will continually monitor them. But what about any repercussions for this? Will anyone face fines or criminal charges? Well, DNREC says today, quote, Wednesday evening's release at Purdue's Georgetown facility is an active investigation with any enforcement actions by DNREC to be determined. Now, I want to tell you a couple more things about this. Let's make it very, very clear. No one died. 4 workers reported some minor effects, but declined to be taken to the hospital. That's what we were told. So everyone seems to be okay. That doesn't necessarily assuage all of the concerns that come with this. How did this happen? Are there lingering effects that we may not know of? There's a lot of concerns and questions I know you have. You had them last night when we were live with you on this. We will continue to stay with you on this and give you information as we get it. This is a developing story, and be sure to visit coasttv.com and all of our news app, and we will give you all the information there.